You know what, guys? Spy X Family really is such a great series, isn't it? Man. Let's take today's episode, for instance, where we focused on Best Boy Bond and Damian, of all characters. And it was still such an enjoyable episode the whole way through. One thing I really love about Spy X Family is that it does take the time to expand upon other characters in the show. And I do really like that. It helps build a really good cast of characters instead of just a little handful of them. And this episode is definitely no exception. So let's hop right into it and talk about Spy X Family Season 2, Episode 2 today, starting with Best Boy Bond. And as our episode begins today, you can tell we're getting close to the holidays, as we see Best Boy Bond laid up on this couch like all my family members on Thanksgiving. As Anya says exactly what I say in that situation. Peak laziness. Now you see, guys, our boy Bond has more on his plate than we think, as we're reminded that his ability is precognition. He can see the future. As we see that through a little mistake he made, he believes Yor's gonna lead him away to one of the men from the research facility who's gonna kill him on sight. As little angel Loids carry him up to heaven. And obviously, this is our worst case scenario. As he has to tell himself, no, me, that won't happen, as he looks at pictures of this loving family he's in now, and realizes that if I died, they would mourn me. As Loid says, you mustn't cry, he lived a happy life in the end, after all. And it's here Yor tells him, I'm sorry, Bond, we're out of dog food, and I forgot to buy more. You're fucked. And I think Loid's gonna be home late tonight, too. I'll try to make your dinner with what we have around the house, okay? As he says, Borf, okay. Yor says, I'll do my best. But it's here suddenly when our boy has a premonition of the future of Yor cooking him dinner. He sees as he eats it, he drops dead immediately. As he thinks, I can't let that happen. As Yor says, Loid was kind enough to make a list of all the things dogs can't eat, so it should be simple. You shouldn't die. As he's thinking, I can't let this woman cook me anything. And he thinks about what happens if he tells her, no, I'm not eating this crap. Anya tells him, if you make Mama angry, she'll kill you, so be careful. As he dies again, and Yor says, well, he should have just eaten the dinner I made, damn it. And it's here our boy Bond is stuck between a rock and a hard place. As he starts flipping out very adorably, but then suddenly realizes, wait, if Loid is gone, Yor will make my dinner, and I'll die. But if Loid come home early, Loid make my dinner, and I live. As we see Bond picturing himself going out to Loid's work, helping him finishing it off early so he can come home early and feed him. So now our boy is on a mission. As he busts out the house to commence Operation Bring Loid Home Early so I don't die a horrible, painful death. But while he's out, there's lots of trials and tribulations. He tries to get a hot dog, but gets shooed away, and thinks Yor is gonna kill him for eating somewhere else. We see he gets approached by two snot-nosed children, a dog's worst enemy. And it's here as the sun's setting. Our boy has almost given up hope of finding Loid, a single tear falling from his eyes. But he is determined, and he will not give up, never surrender. As he goes into town questioning everyone and everything to find Loid, especially this little poodle. Until finally we see our boy has found his mark. And as we transition to Loid, we hear, my mission tonight is to obtain a sample of the truth serum. Being developed by Bourne Industries, Guru Limus. As usual, this was a tall order, so I didn't have any time to gather any information. I won't be able to infiltrate the premises with a disguise. I'll just have to force my way in. But it's here all of a sudden. We see that Best Boy has found Loid. As he's like, what, Bond? What are you doing here? As Loid's like, quiet, the enemy will find us. As he says, where's Yor and Anya? Did you get away from them during a walk? As Bond's like, no, Loid. As Loid says, I don't know what's going on, but go home. As Bond's like, Borf, no, Loid. As he says, if I go home, I'll die a horrible, painful death. As Best Boy starts running and Loid has to follow him, and along the way, Loid realizes, wait, he's leading me down a route that's deserted. I don't remember training him to do that. As Loid thinks, come to think of it, there were rumors that Bourne Industries were involved in Project Apple, the one they did on Bond. Did you come here because you knew that, boy? As Loid says, I get it. Are you trying to get revenge for your friends who were experimented on? As Bond's like, Borf, yes. As Loid's like, alright, let's get through this mission together, boy. Since I lack information, relying on your nose is my best option. And it's here through a lot of sneakiness and an almost dinner break along the way. They make it to their destination, as Loid says, so this must be the lab. There are safes everywhere. Which one is Gorilla-limus? Their security's tough, so it'll be tough to go through each one separately. Who knows, when I'm going home, it might be a long night. But it's here our Best Boy has a premonition that people will come back to the lab and they'll be caught, as Loid says, I'll keep the enemy busy. You head back home, boy. This is gonna be a long battle. As he realizes, if that happens, I'm gonna go home and eat this dinner and die a horrible death. As we see, he desperately goes and warns Loid as to avoid a horrible death. And sure enough, we see a bunch of people come back to the lab like Bond thought as they realize the door's unlocked. As they notice on the wall a note that says, I've stolen Grimmer Lemus, Neener, Teener, T-Bandit. As they quickly open the safe and realize, wait, it's here. Who played this prank on us? But it's here, it's time for our super spies to jump into action. As we see Bond tackle a guy, Loid throws a bag at one, and then Bond drop kicks another one out of nowhere. As Loid's like, not bad, Pooch. Thanks to you, I've completed my mission smoothly. As Loid's like, with this, I can go home earlier than I thought now. As we see Bond has a premonition of good food, Loid cooking it, and a family that loves him very much. And it's here, the day has been saved. As Loid's like, I see, you're that happy you were able to get back at Bourne Industries, huh? Good for you, bud. Alright, let's stop by the supermarket on the way home so I can cook you a special meal. As we just hear, Borf, thank God I'm saved. And with that, our tale of the Best Boy is done. And it's here, we move on to Damian. As we transition into an average day at Eden as we hear, Damian, if you don't get up, you're going to be late for roll call. But naturally, he is slumped right now. He doesn't make it. As Henderson says, as punishment for being late, you're to help the dorm mother today. And until that's done, you're prohibited from leaving the dormitory. As he says, this is rare for you, Damian, even though it's not a school day. It is not elegant to live a slovenly lifestyle, Mr. Desmond. And as we transition to our next scene, we see that Damian's got a lot on his mind, actually, as he says, I really need to hurry up and earn more Stella stars. As his friends tell him, I heard our teacher are going to take us to the movies today. We might get to see the new 20,000 Steps Under the Sea. And on our way back, we're going to have roast beef at Wimpson's. Roast beef, my boy. But Damian tells him, I'm not going to that. I'm going to be studying in my room. And it's here as he overhears these other kids going out and doing just that, having a good time. He thinks to himself, I'm not like them. While they're busy playing, I'm going to work hard to get to the top, so that Father will praise me again. As he remembers the first time that he's actually ever done that, and that means a lot to him. But it's here we see that his friends are really worried about him. So as they go and act like some slobs around Henderson, because they know what he's going to say, he's like, fine, go help Damian and the dorm mother. As they're like, thank you very much, sir. And it's here as Damian goes out there, he notices them and says, what are you two doing here? Why didn't you go out with the rest of them? As they tell him this is our punishment, nothing to do about it, Damian says, whatever, I don't need you to hang out with me. You two go and have fun. And it's here we see that Damian's got some honestly really good friends, guys. as they tell him, I mean, if you really think about it, those other guys lack any taste if they're gonna go to the movies on a beautiful day like this. What's really in right now is doing laundry, obviously, every kid's favorite activity. As they add, plus, we can even pretend to be Imperial scholars. As Henderson's just watching from the sidelines like a creeper, like, your friendship is preciously elegant. And it's here we suddenly hear, you know, you look like you want to go on a picnic, kid. As Damian says, no, I don't. But it's here our boy Henderson steps in and says, talking and messing around when you're supposed to be working, huh, kids? I think I have a new punishment for you three. I want you three to go on a field research trip with Mr. Green, our custodian. No buts. And it's time to go on a field trip. First stop, whitewater rafting, because of course, all the kids love it. As Mr. Green says, aren't picnics fun, kids? You can go down the river while being on the premises. Isn't Eden grand? As he tells them, don't worry, I used to be in the Navy. We won't drown. Probably. Just relax and have fun. As he tells them, just sitting at your desk isn't necessarily the most effective way to study, you know. And it's here as we're heading straight for a waterfall. It's time to put that theory to the test. As they fall down it and Damian goes flying outside of the boat. As he's like, I'm the second son of the Desmond family. I can't drown here. As his friends jump in after him and say, Damian, you need to survive even if no one else can. Make your dreams come true for our sakes as well. As Damian starts crying like, you guys, thank you so much. As Mr. Green's just like, I can see you're having fun there, kids. But you can stand up in this water. The current's not fast either. And they really made themselves look dumb, bro. And as we transition to land, he tells them, go get some firewood so we can start a fire before y'all get sick. And it's here we start part 2 of our research trip, roughing it in the woods. As Mr. Green says, since we're already wet, why don't we go catch fish in the river? As they're like, what, we don't have sandwiches prepared. Are we savages? As he tells them, well, you're Eden students. We'll get what we need right here. I'll get you some string and nets. You figure out the best way to use them. And it's here we see through a little bit of trial and error, they start to see that camping can be fun when you're with the people that you like around you. And again, through a bit of trial and error, we see that they eventually end up catching a fish. And later that night, as they cook their catch and then eat it, they realize that this is delicious. As Mr. Green tells them, you know, roast beef at Wimpson's ain't half bad. But nothing beats prey you've caught yourself. And it's here Damian starts thinking to himself, wait, why am I having fun right now? While I'm messing around here, others are studying. And it's here noticing this, Mr. Green says a really important life lesson as he tells them, doesn't the gentle breeze feel nice, kid? The sound of the fire popping as the flames dance. The rustling of the trees and the smell of the dirt. Relaxing and letting your 5 senses take control ain't half bad, is it? As Damian says, I'm not going to become an Imperial scholar just by spacing out here, though. But it's here Mr. Green tells him, oh? Did you know that the most recent studies in neuroscience suggest that your brain feels really revitalized when you're spacing out? Apparently, it affects your memory and imagination. So famous creators and athletes make sure to give themselves time to space out. And while you're spacing out, you might be able to get all 8 Stellas before you know it. Basically, what he's trying to tell them is that in life, you can become so hyper-focused on one thing that everything around you gets blocked out. You don't notice the important things that are here now, that you can do right now with your own hands. He's quite literally trying to teach them sometimes you have to stop and smell the roses. And it's here he tells them, all right, your clothes have dried, so let's take a walk towards the lake. Apparently, the students call this lake Stella Lake. And it's here as we make our way to the lake, and Mr. Green turns out the light. it becomes very apparent why it's called that. As we see with all the lights out, it is absolutely gorgeous here. As we hear, the stars are reflecting on the water. It looks like the universe. As he tells them, look kids, it's almost as if you can grab the stars with your own hands. As he asks Damian, do you think we wasted our time today? As he reluctantly admits, no, I think it's actually beautiful here. As Mr. Green says, you're right, it is beautiful. And it's here as Damian finally lets himself relax here. We hear, the universe is so big. As he can finally just let himself laugh. And it's here Mr. Green tells him, all right, I guess this was supposed to be a field research trip, huh? Make sure you 3 write reports on this now. And as we transition to our next scene, we see that he's brought those reports to Henderson. As Henderson asks, were they able to spread their wings a bit? As Mr. Green says, I sure hope they felt that way. As Henderson says, that is quite elegant. And as he reads Damian's report, he says, oh, we might have to get them to work on their spelling a bit. This is kind of bad. And with that, our very melancholy episode ends. Now, I could see some people not liking this episode, honestly. But I think it's a really great episode because I love, in the second half, the meaning that it's trying to teach people. That you have to take the time to stop and enjoy what's around you. Even me, I get so hyper-focused on making these videos for you guys sometimes that, frankly, I kind of neglect myself and my health a little bit. So an episode like this is, like, really nice and kind of rejuvenating to see. And I really like the message that it's trying to tell us here. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on Spy X Family because this series is great. I think it's totally amazing. But until next time, guys, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.